thought and its application into its application and analysis of capitalist production. So we went into the historical perspective of Marxism, its application world over, and even today how to understand about the world crisis, world economic crisis. I feel still that with the Marxian analysis that is most suited even to have an analysis of the present day crisis that is we are witnessing in most of the developed countries, where the people are coming to the streets and governments are rushing up to give a bailout package to all the financial institutions which has come up through the finance capital. The finance capital today is the extreme and the highest form of capitalism through imperialism. Now it is trying to hegemonize over the world, and the crisis that has developed is due to its falling profits and due to the inherent contradiction it has. And in these contradictions, if they fail sometime, then the governments come to bail them out. It means the expenditure on the public welfare has to be cut, and therefore we are seeing the cut in every country one after another, and also in India the massive hit on the subsidies, massive cut on pensions, massive cut on rationings, and massive cuts on education, on health, and all the social welfare. So this is the present contradiction to which we thought the application of Marxism is required, and application of Marxism is the only way we can understand this and can get out.
So do you think that Marxism hasn't been looked at as a scientific principle world over? Rather it has been used as a political tool only. If had it been used as a scientific tool, I think the results would have been very different today.
Yes, now this the Marxian thought that came at the time of the rise of the capitalism, and it also had a political content of change of the system through the united power of the proletariat. And he also defined that all the class societies are run by the class dictatorship. Therefore, the proletariat also have to resort to that tools in plain terms and not in disguised terms like democracy. So, the socialist government that are to be established have to work from class angles. That is not a classless society. And when socialism, which was claimed to have been established in many countries, was also a class-ridden society. It was not a classless society. It was a transitory society. It was not a communism. It also has a state. It also has some property. It also has some other non-socialist relationship. Also, even the new economic policy of Lenin, and also in the new modernization of China, there are capitalist elements in that. So there was a class contradiction still working in them. If some of the parties could not work out well, that contradiction in the favor of the working class, in the favor of the proletariat, they failed to gauge the mechanizations and also the real power of capitalism, which is not still exhausted. So in this, really, somehow it was lost. And once the Soviet Union lost, everything also went down like play cards, because it was a model produced by them. Some people say it was not the dictatorship of proletariat in Soviet. Somebody say it was the dictatorship of the Communist Party, and communist officers were working as bureaucrats. Of course, may not be very true, but to some extent, the Communist Party did not gauge imperialism and also the rising contradiction within the own system, because the classes were not totally eliminated. Rather, they have to be concession after concessions. And also the new innovations, scientific innovations, and their application in the private sector, that also has some edge in the capitalist world over the socialist. But now, all the lessons have been learned, and I think it's the correct application of Marxism. That is the tool. Once I spoke about the problem of socialism arose because they did not follow the rule of socialism, while the problem in capitalism arises because they follow the rule of capitalism. Here the problem arises by following the rule, here the problem arises by not following the rule. So capitalism is itself by nature is a crisis-ridden society which comes in cycles after 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, 30 years. If there are subjective forces to turn the situation, if there are ready forces to make a revolution and the revolution is successful, in absence of them, the crisis comes and the capitalism provides some solution after some time, inferior or superior, that remains within it. And I think now the subjective forces, the people, the working class, and even the unity of people, and different kind of thoughts like in developing countries, like in Latin America, like in other countries. Now there is a definite opposition to the hegemonizing efforts of the finance capital. You know, one region of finance capital, one advance. The amount of finance capital exchange in stock exchanges per day is 60 times more than the total GDP of the world. So finance capital is an idle capital. It cannot remain sitting. It has to flow. It has to go. It has to find new places for its action. If we dedicate profit to this, that's very happy. And with super profits, it becomes violent and even can destroy its own bases and its own owners. And I hope the finance capital has become its own risk. And I think the new thinking in the world order has to arise from Marxism. Thank you.